Hello everyone, I'm Kate Freeman and this is the Daily Dollop. On this episode of the Daily Dollop, we're going to be talking about carbs and the information that you do need to know about them and the information that you can ignore. We're going to have a look at the research around carbohydrates and weight loss, and then talk through some sustainable options so that you can include carbs in your diet and still lose weight. Hello everyone, I'm so excited. This is episode 2 of the Daily Dollop. Carbohydrates is where it's at. But before we get stuck into that, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kate Freeman. I'm a registered nutritionist and the founder of the Healthy Eating Hub. And fun fact about me is that on my right foot, I have an extra long second toe, like crazy long, and it's not on the other foot, and it's weird. But I'm pretty sure everybody's got to have a deformity somewhere, and that is mine. So moving right along into, can we eat carbohydrates and lose weight? Great question. Such a good question. And there is so much woo around this question. Short answer is yes, you absolutely can eat carbohydrates and lose weight. We just need to make sure that a few key principles are in place that are required for weight loss. But 100% you absolutely can. But what I want to do is just call out a bit of woo here. And I've got some things written down just so I don't forget them. But these are some popular pop culture beliefs around carbohydrates and probably part of the reason why they're so misunderstood. You can't eat carbs after 4 p.m. You shouldn't be eating carbs at dinner. You can't eat the same type of carbs 2 times in a row. I've met people who have said, if you eat bread for breakfast, you can't eat bread again for lunch. I have heard people say that you just need to fully cut out bread. You can't eat potato, and all sorts of other weird things. Like I've heard you shouldn't pair carbs with fats, which is a super sad rule because chips and aioli, for one thing, is delicious, which is the most epic carbohydrate and fat pairing. Sourdough in olive oil and balsamic vinegar, that is also an excellent carbohydrate and fat pairing. Don't have to worry about that. You can pair your carbs and your fats if you want to. Nothing bad will happen. And same for all of those other pieces of woo. I've been eating carbohydrates after 4 p.m. most of my life and nothing bad has ever happened to me. I eat bread regularly. I don't build my whole diet out of bread, but I happily include it as part of my diet and nothing bad has ever happened to me. I eat carbohydrates with most of my dinners and again, totally healthy. And you can include carbohydrates too. We just need to find the right balance because like everything in nutrition, we can go from one extreme to the other. And so what I want to chat to you about is some research that came out a couple of years ago called the Diet Fits study. And I'm going to link to the study in the show notes. This is a randomized controlled trial, which is one of the gold standards in scientific research. That means that it's really good research. And it means that we can make some fairly confident conclusions from it. The other great thing about this study is that it was conducted over 12 months. So it's a longer time frame, which gives us, again, more better evidence on the effects over a longer term. And it had a really high number of participants as well, which means the more participants we have, the stronger the statistical analysis, which is also a good thing when it comes to science. Now, the Diet Fit study was looking at a number of things, but in particular, it was looking at the difference between a low carb diet and a low fat diet and its effect on weight loss. Because I don't know about you, but there's a lot of conflicting information online around the best diet to lose weight. And it was really nice to actually see a really good study come out and get some media time that actually showed that One is not more superior than the other. And it's what I've been saying for years. And I just thought, thank you. Thank you, science, for coming up with a really great study. Because at the end of the day, the best diet for you is the one that you can stick to long term, that has some key nutrition principles. And here at the Healthy Eating Hub and my online program, many people sort of ask me what my philosophy is and my thoughts around carbs. And the best way to describe it is I don't take a low carb or a high carb approach. I take a what's right for you carb approach, because everybody is different. And getting your carbohydrates right for weight loss or general health needs to take into account your food preferences, your activity levels, your goals, your age, a bunch of different things. And then it's just a matter of practicing that and trial and erroring and finding the best carbohydrate eating pattern for you. But back to this Diet Fit study. So what they did was they had hundreds of people that they randomized to two different diets, the low carb or the low fat. Now, what they did in those diets is that they controlled for an energy deficit, which is less energy in through food than your body expending so that you can lose weight. So both the diets created an energy deficit. And they also controlled for protein. It's the same amount of protein in the diets. And diet quality. So both dietary patterns were encouraged to eat plenty of vegetables and whole fresh foods. And surprise, surprise, the results showed that there was no statistically significant difference between the low carb and the low fat study when it came to weight loss. Both achieved weight loss results. And so what we can conclude from this study, and it actually adds to a mountain of research, not just this one study, that there is no one way to lose weight, that you can include carbohydrates as part of a healthy diet and still get weight loss results. And so what I want to chat through now practically is thinking, okay, well, if you like carbs and you've had success losing weight, cutting them out, but you feel like that's unsustainable for you, where do you start? Because cutting out carbs and including them in your diet can be this horrible perpetuating cycle of where you fully cut them out, you get really quick weight loss results on the scale because you lose water weight and glycogen weight. So let me give you a little bit of biochemistry background. Essentially, your body stores carbohydrate in your liver and your muscles in a form called glycogen. This gives the body a really quick energy source when it's active and busy. It helps the fight or flight response, so you can ninja a tiger or run away from a baddie. And essentially this glycogen is stored in your liver and muscles along with a lot of water. So when you cut carbohydrates out of your diet, generally in the first 3 to 4 days, you can get on the scales and you'll be like, oh, I've lost 2 kilos. Amazing. But what you've just lost is all of your body's used up your glycogen, because it's like, oh, well, we need to take the carbs out of the liver and muscles, and you've lost the water along with that glycogen. What happens is as your glycogen starts to deplete, is that you start to become hungry and lethargic and not feeling so good. Your body gets pushed into ketosis, but you miss carbohydrates because you like carbohydrates. You go out to dinner with some friends, you have a big plate of pasta and some garlic bread, maybe some ice cream, right? A whole lot of carbohydrate. And what happens is, 1, you overeat, so you feel unwell. And 2, your body gets excited about all this carbohydrate that's come back into the body and stores it back to refill the glycogen stores again. What happens? You put on weight. And so unfortunately, just due to basic and normal physiology, is that people are scared of carbohydrates because they stop eating them and they lose weight, and they start eating them again, they put weight back on again. But these ups and downs of your weight with your intake of carbohydrates changing over a few days and weeks doesn't mean anything. It's your fat stores that make the difference with health and weight management, and they're the things that you need to worry about. So When it comes to thinking about including carbohydrates into your diet, there are two key things that you want to think about. We want to think about quantity and quality. So you can't just eat whatever you want and lose weight. That's a principle in this world that just does not exist. You need to create an energy deficit to lose weight. So your carbohydrate intake needs to fit within your energy budget for the day. So getting the quantity right is important. We actually use a model here at the Healthy Eating Hub called the plate model. And so we suggest aiming for around a quarter of your dinner plate of carbohydrate. But you can include some bread or potato or some rice at each of your 3 meals in the day if you stick to that quarter of a plate measure. You're also going to be getting carbohydrate from vegetables and fruit that you include as well. And that's absolutely fine on top of that quarter of a plate. So that's the first thing, is start there, aiming for a quarter of your plate 3 times a day. That can easily fit within an energy budget for weight loss. The second thing to think about with carbohydrates is quality. So we could get carbohydrate from cakes, biscuits, and chips, ultra-processed foods. They have very little in the way of fiber, which is great for our gut health and helps us feel full, vitamins, minerals. Plus, those foods are really easy to overeat, so we can eat too much of them. Or we can get our carbohydrate from whole foods, grainy breads, high fiber breakfast cereals, wholemeal pasta, brown rice, legumes, beans, fruit, and veggies. So think about when you're putting your meal together, I'm going to aim for a quarter of a plate of a minimally processed carbohydrate-rich food and aim to get my carbohydrate from those foods first. Have a try and see. It'll make a big difference to your appetite throughout the day, helping you feel much fuller and in control. I'll leave you with this final thought if you're still feeling a little bit wary about including carbohydrates in your day. What happens is I see it time and time again, is people cut out carbohydrates, don't eat it at breakfast, have their little tuna and salad for lunch, don't eat it for lunch, but then get to 4 p.m. and are having a couple of chocolate bars and a pack of chips. So they've avoided good quality carbs. They could have had some grainy toast for breakfast or some brown rice with their lunch and felt satisfied into the afternoon, but instead they skipped it only to grab ultra-processed foods later on in the day. It seems a little silly to me. So if we focus on including the whole food first, we actually give ourselves food and carbohydrate for our body to use and fill up on, which can keep us better in control of our appetite and making healthier choices later on in the day. Give it a try and see for yourself. Well, that's it for today's episode on carbohydrates. I will put the link to the Diet Fit study in the show notes. Make sure you subscribe, give me a rating, and leave me a review. If you have any questions, please contact me via my social media pages. Have an awesome day, guys, and I'll see you next time on the Daily Dollop.